Because your work feels that it comes from a place inside of you, and it's very evident in your work. And I was wondering if any of your childhood experiences, you're from Sicily,
Yeah.
and it's such a beautiful region, if some of those inspire you in your work. Could you talk about that?
Yes, I'm from Sicily, and for sure there is a strong influence of Milan in all my work, because when I was a child living in that place, I can remember perfectly the big impression that I had when I was in front of amazing architecture. And so it's a land very emotional, and when I was a child, I was a very emotional people, and it was interesting to see this beautiful place, and the image that I have seen come back in my mind all the time when I design a project. So yes, for sure there is a big influence.
We were talking earlier today about, your work, your style, and it's so evident, like I see your work and I could recognize that it's you. And in a way we were thinking that with all the works that you're seeing digitally today, digital designs for NFTs and metaverse, the kind of work that people are creating, also has a very similar vibe to what you have been doing in a physical format.
Yeah.
The softness, this contradiction of a hard material but looks soft, that kind of contradictions.
Yes.
That people are doing digitally but you've been doing physically.
Yeah.
So do you have any plans of designing something for the metaverse?
Yes, for sure I will. I am also reflecting about this, because my work, when I design interiors, I try to research abstraction all the times. I don't like to create too much physical spaces. I mean, I like that there are a lot of texture, of tactile. I really love the stimulation of sense, but in the same time I like to bring people inside a kind of abstract world. I don't wanna, the reality is not so interesting for me. I don't know how to say. So if I create a space, for me it's interesting to bring people inside a kind of three-dimensional painting, something like that. In the same time, I'm also working a lot in the last period with these interactive installation, for example, because it's a research I have been doing for a long time from my study in architecture. In the last project I made, for example, the pop-up that I designed for Hermes in Rome, we also had an interactive installation where people was inside a virtual space. You come inside a real space, but then there is a camera who catch you and bring inside a virtual space that I designed using the beautiful pattern of Hermes, and also in different work I am doing. Also last year I designed La Casa Fluida for the El Decor Italia, and we had 3 interactive installations which were in between reality and virtuality. So for sure it's very interesting for me to go more in deep in metaverso, but I am already doing a lot in this direction.
I can't wait to see what you do there for the metaverse.
Yeah.
Because also when there are so many talks of metaverse right now,
Yeah.
and like you say, reality is boring, and reality is also in many ways very problematic. I mean, if we look at the kind of world we are living in today, I always wonder if we are also building the metaverse, how is it going to be really any different from the kind of world we have built here? But when designers who think like you are going to get into that space, I'm sure interesting things will happen.
Thank you. I hope it will be. But I think so, because of course it's a free land. It's very interesting and also very difficult. In this period there is a kind of common aesthetic that is developing in that direction. I think that maybe there is something who made, some artists who made a very interesting work, and many who are going in the same direction. I think it's a place where a designer, an artist has to work in a very personal way.
I know that you love art and you have certain favorite artists,
Yeah.
somebody you like for their treatment of light or material and things like that.
Exactly.
So the work that you're producing, whether in your interior spaces or your products, could you talk about your art influences on that?
It's difficult to make an association, but for example, for Salvatori I designed this Alfeo, it's drawers, and for sure it was inspired by Donald Judd. For me, the art is like food, and so I go all the time to see art, and it's very emotional, it's like food for my soul. And then I don't know how the process of what I like become a project, because when I take a pencil to design an object, some image come out in my mind, and I usually work on the concept before, because the concept is the first step of every project, but then the imaging come alone, and I think that in the imaging there are a lot of inspiration. For sure art is one of the...
I don't specifically want to talk about the pandemic because it's still not over, it's still going on.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, it did, kind of offer a pause to be able to think about, what we were doing in our lives otherwise. So I was just wondering that, have you had a chance, or through your work or through the work that you see from other designers in the industry, do you feel or do you hope to see some kind of changes in the future?
We have been talking about sustainable materials and for a long time. I hope that after pandemic it will become a reality, because we don't have more time to talk about this. I think that it must be normal for everybody, for every designer, when we create a project, to think in a circular economy way.
So coming to your association with Salvatori, as we discussed that you have been associated for quite a long time, and the outcome of your association is absolutely stunning, as we can see through your products here. I know that all of those outcomes must be very special to you and you would like all of them. It's like asking which one is your favorite child. But if you have to pick out either one association, one project, or a very fond memory that you have from your association with Salvatori and with Gabriele, is there something you can share?
One of my favorite work is Urano, for sure, this lamp. It is one of my first space that I designed for Salvatori, and it was the idea of this kind of a moon, this globe, and I really like the idea that it is a sculpture, but that it also has a lamp inside. And when we created this piece, Gabriele said to me, why don't you do, because he asked all the time, why don't you do an installation in the ground floor to introduce the piece? And I said, oh, I would like so much to make one 1 meter big, hung in the ceiling, so it will be like a big moon in the ceiling, space, in the space. And of course he's completely crazy like me and said, of course we will do it. It was very, very hard because it was very heavy and was incredibly difficult to bring inside, also to create the structure to take it. All the time we have a strong enthusiasm to do things, and so things become a reality.
Even though we live today and we take inspiration from yesterday, but we are somehow working for tomorrow, so what's next? So if I have to ask you, what is next for you, for the world, for the creative community, what would you say?
I would like to create in common space, in a public space, because I think that social is very important in this historical moment, because as you said before, we have been closed at home during the pandemic for 2 long years. And what I feel now is that people need to go back to society. Of course, now is summer, it's easy, but maybe next winter it will be not, but any case, I think that changed a lot the way to stay together, and we need to rethink and redesign maybe the social spaces. And so I would like to work in that direction, and I am making a lot of reflection in that direction.